It has just gone 8 o'clock Central African time. Good evening and welcome to the News Bulletin at 8, brought to you by Eswatini TV. My name is Sanibon Ngwan alongside Zamanzi Manza. Thank you so much indeed for choosing to stay with us. We're coming to you live from our Hospital Hill studios in Mbabane. And let's take a look at your top stories at 8. The Minister of Health has officially launched the National Health Research Agenda. The Minister of Finance has delivered his midterm budget review report in the House of Assembly. And former Minister of Public Works and Transport has apologized to the families of the 3 people allegedly shot at Mhlabove in September 2020. And now for the news in detail, Minister of Health Lizinkosi has officially launched the National Health Research Agenda. Now, this is for 2021-2026. The minister says the agenda is not cast in stone, adding that researchers should be flexible to conduct research on things not in the agenda.
National Health Research Agenda outlines national health priorities for 2021 to 2026. Its purpose is to guide researchers, policymakers, program implementers, and other stakeholders on health research priorities for Eswatini. Minister of Health Lizinkosi says the agenda should not cut researchers' legs.
One of the things that you need to be doing as researchers is staying agile and staying flexible so that you can be responsive to emerging issues. I know you said emerging issues and you talked about Ebola. What if there is something else? What if, as we sit right now, there is something going on in this country that we don't know and it will be discovered soon?
Ministry of Health's Trevor Sitole unpacked the country's priority research areas.
It is still communicable diseases. This is according to the stakeholders. That is HIV and AIDS, TB, NTDs, malaria. Here the priority research area of focus is improving existing interventions. Then on number 2, which was number last in the previous agenda, is emerging and re-emerging diseases. Here we have COVID-19, we have Ebola. Here we need to assess the burden and its determinants.
Minister Nkosi asked researchers to research about the rising number of people who are becoming resistant to medication like penicillin, which cures flu and sexually transmitted infections. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela with Temba Shabangu, Mbabane.
The Minister of Finance, Noel Rickenback, has delivered his midterm budget review report in the House of Assembly. The minister says SACCO receipts have declined this financial year when compared to last year. He also says the economy has not performed well due to different factors, including the war between Russia and Ukraine.
Mr. Speaker, allow me to turn your attention to the revenue side of our budget. Compared to the original budget, domestic revenue collection has been revised downwards. Tax revenue is expected to be down by over 400 million emalangeni. Fortunately, the non-tax revenue is expected to perform over budget by about 200 million emalangeni. And the overall revenue is estimated to be down by 180 million emalangeni. These estimates assume no disruptions in the economy. Mr. Speaker, as at half year, the government has collected 7.8 billion emalangeni in revenues, reflecting 40% collection of the projected annual revenues of 19.3 billion emalangeni. Grants received at half year amount to 68 million emalangeni. SACCO receipts declined from 6.38 billion emalangeni in 2021-2022 to 5.82 billion emalangeni in 2022-2023. which is equivalent to 8.88% of the current year. At half year, 2022-2023, we had received 2.9 billion from SACCO receipts compared to 3.2 billion in 2021-2022. This reflects a decrease in SACCO receipts expected this year when compared to last year. The source of revenue continues to prove volatile, and there's little that we can do to control it. Domestic revenue collection at half year amounts to 4.8 billion emalangeni, and this is just above the 4.47 billion emalangeni collected at the same time last year.
The Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, Harris Blunga, says they're not sitting on 3 bills which look to address youth unemployment issues. Blunga says the bills had to be put on ice to allow government to conclude an exercise to see on how government ministries can be merged, and these may affect the ministry as well. The minister has said this in Senate when responding to a question about problems facing the youth.
This motion was raised by Senator Prince Mshengu, who was seconded by Senator Mkhululi Dlamini, whereafter the House debated it.
Emotion ithume indvuna lokuthi sitholile lokuthi lemithetho lemihle nakangaka nabakithi naku sesiyahamba emengameli so la ivele endlini ingabe kutheni mengameli.
I-representation ye-youth in key policy bodies like iParliament ima kanjani
uthi simane silwendo le budget ayimane kube khona lethi imali ukuthi qathatha letawubuka le youth.
Wonke umuntu lodila nemuntu lomusha kufanele ukuthi abe abuka lokho ukuthi lama gaps angakuphi singachubeki naloku kungasisebenteli nale fundo yethu nayo ibheke lapho tidzingo tingakhona khona. Madam President.
Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, Harris Bulunga, responded.
Sports bill, lesi sibuke silitiwa ukuthi sitawusilekelela ngokuthi bantwana labane makhono okutemidlalo. Sikhona ukumobilize ama-resources, gcine kufike esigabeni sokuthi babhadalwe ukuthi bazuze kulama khono ngokusebenzisa lamakhono abo. Phinze kwabuka kune-Arts and Culture bill. Lesibuke ukuthi nakungasihambela kahle gcina kunemithetho lo wengamele donate ma-arts ne-culture nako kungenta ukuthi bantwana labanemakhono ngakulolo hlangothi bagcine nabo sebatiphilisa ngako kulithuthukise nelive.
Bulunga is expected to table a report on this issue in 7 days. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela with Mbongwa Dube, Parliament.
The Eswatini Action Group Against Abuse organization has donated material to the Manzini Relay Fitkin Memorial Hospital One-Stop Center. According to SWACA Director Nonhlanhla Dlamini, she says the material is worth 500,000 Malangeni. Dlamini says some of the material will help in capturing gender-based violence survivors' data.
In a bid to ensure that gender-based violence survivors are provided with a much-needed help in a comfortable space, SWACA organization has donated furniture and laptops to the One-Stop Center in the Manzini RFM. SWACA Director Nonhlanhla Dlamini says the material that consists of furniture and laptop is secured through the support of PACT and UNAIDS.
We are happy that our clients that will be visiting this place would actually be seated on very comfortable chairs, and also the officers working here will be on very comfortable desks. And not only that, they would also have laptops where they would be able to use to collect data.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Lindy Wembingo, says the ministry hopes that more one-stop centers will be established across the country.
There's no better time than this to receive such items, since we are already in the 16 days of activism against violence perpetrated on women and children.
The RFM CEO, Benjamin Simelane, says the one-stop center helps over 100 clients in a space of a month. For Eswatini TV News, Ndomlangeni Fuminkosi Nzinisa, Manzini.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology, Pesha Dube, says government communication officers need to fully understand cybersecurity in order to mitigate internal and external cyber threats. The Principal Secretary, who was represented by the Undersecretary in the Ministry, Makanjana Mots, during the training of the communication officers at the Institute of Management and Public Administration in Matsapa.
Since the country experienced partial lockdowns due to COVID-19, Eswatini have been increasingly using their digital devices and spending more time on the internet. This means that we have to be vigilant in securing our cyberspace. One of the objectives of this month's campaign is to provide access to resources to give the nation tools they need to make more informed decisions when using the internet.
Eswatini Communications Commission's Consumer Affairs and Communications Manager Fisiwe Vilane says, in an effort to combat cybercrime, the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology has enacted several laws.
This year has been really good in the ministry in terms of kuphasiswa kwemithetho lemithathu lehambelana nayo cybersecurity. Around data protection, around electronic transactions, around data privacy as well.
Different communication officers say the workshop is necessary as it will enlighten them about cybercrime.
Sitawuthola empowerment lapho sitawukwati khona ukuthi sibaxhumanisa bamatiko lahlukene kahulumende sicilekela njani kuyivikela information yahulumende and now uvikela information yahulumende uvikela sona lesive.
Nathi as human beings kuyadinga ukuthi sifunze ngetinhlobonhlobo tebucala.
The Eswatini Communications Commission says it will continue to sensitize all sectors of society about cybercrime. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla with Mbongwa Dube, Matapa.
To ensure Eswatini fully benefits from the African Continental Free Trade Area, the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade has engaged stakeholders in preparation of Phase 2 of the Trade in Services negotiations. Speaking during the workshop at Hilton Garden Inn in Mbabane, the Acting Director of International Trade, Muntu Almeida, says these will present local businesses with the capacity so that they fully benefit from the agreement.
The Acting Director of Trade, Muntu Almeida, says the workshop is mainly to ensure that all stakeholders fully understand the Africa Free Continental Trade Area, especially trade in services negotiations and implementation aspects for the second phase.
The training lena imqoka ngesizathu sekuthi isita bosomabhizinisi ikakhulu laba trader ngema services ukuthi bakhone kuba ne market access kule market lenkulu lesinegotiator noma le enter into force le bitwa ngekuthi ngule African Continental Free Trade Area le hlanganisa emavela ayi-54. So sitawukhumbula ukuthi nje in the past sike sahithwa hard yi-COVID timboke tasesiyashintsha.
Head of Capacity Building and Technical Assistance at Africa Free Continental Trade Area, Tsotetse Makhong, says all sectors of society should benefit from the agreement.
It's a high time for Africa to take on its own destiny and move ahead and make sure that trade works for everybody, not only for big companies. We're talking about trade that would work for women, trade that will work for young people. We have high levels of unemployment across the continent.
The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade states that it will continue working with stakeholders to ensure that they fully understand the agreement. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla with Mbongwa Dube, Mbabane.
Coming in from the High Court, former Minister of Public Works and Transport, Ntutuko Dlamini, has apologized to the families of the 3 people he allegedly shot in an ordeal that took place at Mhlabov in September 2020, his family and the nation at large. Dlamini says the incident closed many doors for him and he is remorseful for his actions. Dlamini said this in the court when giving testimony in his case.
Former Minister of Public Works and Transport Ntutuko Dlamini took to the stand today, and with the Bible in his right hand, he took an oath to tell nothing but the truth. Ntutuko told the court that he peacefully approached the Luyengwini Council at Mhlabubovu and asked them about the purpose of their gathering. The accused told the court that an argument erupted after he referred to one of the people gathered there as imfututa or chaff. He also told the court that he used this word because this person talked back at him while he had not posed any question to him. Ntutuko narrated to the court that he saw Samuel Dlamini charging at him armed with a nopkiri, and that was when he shot him in the hand to disarm him. He also narrated that he shot Samuel for the second time as he still came towards him, and that was when he retreated. Ntutuko further narrated to the court that he then heard a gunshot sound behind him, only to find that it was Sikulu Shongwe shooting at him. He told the court that he then shot Shongwe in the chest, whereafter he jumped due to the impact of the bullet, and he fired a second shot at him. The accused also told the court that he then shot Shongwe after he saw him trying to reach his gun while lying on the ground. Dutuko further told the court that one Tabetse came running towards him and also got shot. Dutuko submitted that he was not proud of the events that unfolded on that day, and that was why he was apologetic about it. This matter continues before Judge Maxine Elangwenya. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela with Temba Shabangu, High Court.
The North Capital Organization has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Eswatini National Industrial Development Corporation. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Commerce, who was represented by Mluleki Dlamini, the Director for SMEs, says this partnership will be a game changer in the industrialization space.
The NOSAD organization has invested in different sectors such as food value chain, industrialization, and sustainable livelihood in Africa. This organization has signed a memorandum of understanding with Eswatini National Industrial Development Corporation. Making his remarks, the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, represented by the Director Mluleki Dlamini, says the ENIDC needs positive partnership even regionally.
What we have come here to witness is a step forward in the funding of industrialization of our economy. The Ministry's aim is to enable sustainable business investments that thrive to a point of exporting capital outside the country. Such an objective is feasible when there is stronger support and financing networks that are wider.
The NOSAD Capital CEO Kenny Mnosu says the company has invested $1.5 billion in Africa.
The MOU sets out the terms of our partnerships primarily around co-transactions for increased investments into Eswatini. We each have our own expertise and funding models, and together we can provide broader and more in-depth insights through financing collaboration.
Muzigai Setube, the ENIDC Managing Director, says the partnership is in line with the company's strategic plan. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Ezulwini.
The Eswatini Higher Education Council is putting up stringent measures to ensure local institutions of higher education are providing internationally recognized programs. Now, the Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Loretta Mkonta, said this during the Capacity Building Forum for the institutions at Spiny Lodge in Matsapa.
The Chief Executive Officer says after identifying gaps in the work of different institutions, they conduct workshops to ensure they remain competitive internationally. She says the workshop is to capacitate the institutions on ensuring internal quality assurance.
We have 48 higher education institutions represented, both public and private institutions. According to the Higher Education Act, we promote coordination with higher education institutions plus building a capacity. As sisebenda siyasinaga ama-gap latside lebese ke nasesiba nema-biannual workshops lapho khona sakha i-capacity yabo. The workshop lena ifocus ukuthi higher education institutions ethu angawena njani ema-internal quality assurance mechanisms bangameli ishek as an external quality assurance structure kuti bakwende lokho. And ema-institutions ethu lamanyenti say-expire provisional registration yawo. So sefuna sicayele phansi sendele ama-institutional assessments so kuba capacitator nangaloko ukuthi abawalungisele njani. Kwesithathu, it's also to teach them about affiliate to EMA structures langabasita in terms of quality assurance.
The Chief Executive Officer says they further capacitate institutions on the structures of affiliation. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla with Mbongwa Dube, Matsapa.
Right now, let's take a look at the financial indicators and see how markets performed today in a financial report. Welcome back. You're still with the news bulletin at 8 here at Eswatini TV. Now let's take a look at our news making headlines in the world of sports. Eswatini Epilepsy Organization Acting Director Abraham Janjali says all the proceeds from the epilepsy half marathon to be held next year, February, at Mbaga will be used to assist people with epilepsy. Janjali was speaking during the half marathon media launch at the Christian Media Center offices in Manzini.
Speaking during the launch, the acting director says the marathon will be done in 3 stages, being the 21 kilometers, where registration will cost 180 malangeni, 10 kilometers will cost 150 malangeni, and 5 kilometers, which will cost 120 malangeni. He explains that all the proceeds from the marathon will be used to assist people with the condition locally with their different needs.
Aloku lesikwendako ngaphandle kokuthi si raise awareness siya advocate siyafundzisa ngeepilepsy kukhona nekwekuthi lokhu lesithola lapho siqokelela imali nyalo nje sakha i-epilepsy center khona lela sisho khona la sitabe sigijimela khona njengoba sathi ukuthi kuyaba khona ukuba khona lamatubane lawa phambili imali yatholakala lapho ngiyo lesiqale ngayo sathenga indzawo sandlula lapho sayifensela sendlula lapho namhla sesiqale siyakha ifoundation seyiphelile lo sikhuluma kuJemandi phinze sifuna ukukhuphula tibonza ketulu kuze abantu labaphila nesifo sekuwa babe nenzawo labangayibita ngelikhaya labo la khona batawukhona kuthola ema-therapeutic services bakhona kokuthi nalaba kwakhako ngetandla tabo ngoba abantu labanesifo sekuwa bavamisa kuba neskill nje sekwakha imisebenzi yetandla sikhona ukuthi bayathengiselwa khona siyabamakethela internationally so siyaba encourage abantu nengaphandle kokuthi uma ngabe uparticipate kuloko you are not only participating to get the benefits marketing and other things, but you are also fulfilling your corporate social investment.
The acting director further states that the half marathon will be held on the 4th of February next year at Mbaga, where they are planning to build an epilepsy center. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini, Manzini.
And just in media release from the Premier League of Eswatini. The Premier League of Eswatini regrets the incidents by a certain group of Mbabane Highlanders supporters that took place at the end of the match between Manzini Seabirds and Mbabane Highlanders. Now, we condemn the expression of our frustrations towards match officials during a football match through the throwing of objects onto the field of play, the invasion of pitch at any time for any reason by supporters, and most unacceptably for the clear purpose of assaulting and or attempting to assault players, match officials or anyone in the field of play. Such actions are prohibited by the rules and regulations of the Premier League. We are looking into the matter and consulting with the relevant stakeholders to deal with the matter in the best interest of the football in Eswatini. We note with disappointment that this incident and others like this tarnish not only the reputation of the clubs concerned, but negatively impact the reputation of our sponsors and all football stakeholders locally and internationally. The Premier League of Eswatini sincerely apologizes to the supporters at the stadium, Mavuso Stadium owners, Eswatini MTN, our league sponsor, Eswatini Football Association, the entire nation, and all Eswatini football supporters internationally who were subjected to these unfortunate scenes. The Premier League of Eswatini is dealing with the matter in line with the rules and regulations of the league and will issue out a statement once the process is complete. Now, the statement is by the CEO, Kenneth Makanya. And with that, we've reached the home stretch of the news bulletin at 8 at Eswatini TV. But before we go, here's a quick reminder of our news-making headlines tonight. The Minister of Health has officially launched the National Health Research Agenda. The Minister of Finance has delivered his midterm budget review report in the House of Assembly. And former Minister of Public Works and Transport has apologized to the families of the 3 people allegedly shot at Mhlabove in September 2020. Beautiful Kingdom of Eswatini, we've hit the home stretch, but before we go, here's a quick update of the World Cup scores. Cameroon shared the spoils against Serbia on 3 goals per side, and South Korea lost to Ghana on 3 goals to 2. And Brazil, the game is still ongoing, but Brazil is leading a goal against Switzerland. And with that, we shall now cross over to the Weather Center for a detailed weather report from us and the rest of the team here at Eswatini TV. For now, it's good night and God bless.
OK's Big Deal Weekend just got even bigger. For 4 days only, save big on cool baked beans in tomato sauce 2 for 20 mlangeni. Pacomo cornflakes, a bargain at 25 mlangeni. Nescafe Classic Instant Coffee, a Supolo 75 mlangeni. And Sunlight 2-in-1 hand washing powder at only 48 mlangeni. More massive deals in store. Thursday to Sunday only. OK, owners you can count on.